Visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com.
This is Ken Stomsky from Ken's Den on WCPC 15 and 89.5 FM, Tuesdays, 8 to 10.
Community Radio,
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
.10 on the nose here on this 14th day of April, the 26th day of the apocalypse in the year 2020, Anno Domini.
I needed to laugh.
This is the Den Ken's Den.
The views expressed by the host during his monologue are those solely of his own, not those of Westfield State University, Westfield Community Programming Channel, our underwriters, JPEG Luca on his conference call in his car, or just people in their houses listening to us this morning, like Bob Plass. And now...
Hi, Bob.
Hey!
I'm
Oh, no.
really flying by the seat of my pants this morning.
You know what, Pete?
What's going on, Ken, as your music fades out?
I have another number for you this week.
Uh-oh. Seriously?
3.
3.
3. What could that mean?
I don't know.
3 squares a day? Nope, I'm definitely getting more than that. You get that, huh, Bob?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Every time I walk through the kitchen, Gus.
Yeah. I brought Pete cookies this weekend.
They're already gone. Just saying.
3 more pounds? Nope.
Yeah.
I think I stabilized. And moving cameras around here at 120 seems to act like exercise.
Oh, boy.
3 more weeks to go? Nope.
To what?
Could be.
Nope. I don't think anyone is sure about that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 3 weeks to the gallon for fuel consumption.
3 weeks to the gallon?
3 weeks to the gallon. I haven't gone this long between fill-ups since I was in high school in the 80s. In fact, the great big green machine was feeling guilty about not getting $30 a high test twice a week from the Grays. And it felt so guilty that it broke itself down so that they would have some work coming into the garage.
God.
Tony and everyone else down there have been getting very intimate with the old SLS lately.
SLS. What does that stand for?
That's the model of my
The
Cadillac.
caddy, yeah, the caddy.
Oh, your Cadillac. Huh?
Seville luxury sedan. I think that's
Wow.
what that stands for. Or Seville luxury sport.
Yeah,
Because
that's
the STS is sport touring. Well, whatever. The Caddy, anyways, it has a great engine. All right, and it's an awesome car when it is on the road. And, it is of that vintage where 70,000 miles, some things need work.
Sure.
Once these major inconveniences are taken care of, I'll be able to take my government stimulus check and pay off my credit card for whatever repair it needs this week and next week and the week after that. But the thing is, and anyone who knows older cars knows, you get to a point where you knock off all of these repairs and then the car is usually good to go. And with this vehicle having a 32-valve North Star engine in it, so long as I keep an eye on the coolant and I don't fry my gaskets, I should be okay.
Okay.
And then, now that I'm done talking about 3, I'm now able to say 2.
Ooh.
That's right, another number. 2. That would be 2 weeks to the gallon because the big green machine has a big engine and loves to slurp down 91 octane like Dudley Moore's Arthur character sucked down martinis.
When you get lost between the moon and New York City,
It's kind of funny. I heard that song this morning on Bob's program, and I have a reference that I wrote like 2 days
I
ago.
love it.
Wow,
It's getting eerie how those... Yesterday I didn't even look down Buster's list, and I picked out one of his songs. I was like, whoa.
yeah, we did not plan that one out. But, I have yet another number for you, buddy.
Okay.
What is it?
18.
What's that?
18.
What could 18 possibly be?
I have no idea. Tell us, Ken Stomsky.
18.
That's the average miles per gallon on the Caddy.
Okay.
Mixed driving. You thought I was going to talk about that Escort. Never mind. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
You thought.
Oh.
Yep, 18 miles to the gallon average. Figure 20 highway and 15 driving the Big Y twice. Yeah, yes, twice.
Twice?
Yes, once to drive there, and once to drive back home and get your bags and drive back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And OMG, did I not call it right and how dirty and filthy those reusable bags can be?
Oh my God. You're a pioneer.
I think Rouse agreed with you.
You know, I was on that weeks, if not months, before people figured out the nastiness that they could harbor.
You were the trailblazer on that one.
I was. What's your temperature?
97.6.
Okay. I heard it. I heard that beep go off.
You heard the beep in it. It's like Pavlov's dog.
I got another number. I got another number for you, Pete.
Okay.
12.
12.
What could 12 mean?
Eggs in a dozen.
6 reusable bags kept in each car now. That is 12 reusable bags that I was almost forced into, okay, maybe guilted, into purchasing that now sit in the trunk of my car not being used. Potentially collecting mold. And perhaps incubating God knows what. Because I'm a guy. I don't wash bags. It just seems unnatural.
Unnatural.
I have another number for you. But you'll have to wait until next week to find out what it means.
Oh, boy.
The number is 0. And no, that does not represent the number of clucks I gave right about now. Let's pay our bills. We'll be back right after this. See you, Bob.
Oh, am I leaving?
Shuffling madness and locomotive ground runs the all-time loser headlong to his death. He feels the piston scraping, steam breaking on his brow. Charlie has stolen the handle and the train it won't stop going. His children jumping off at stations one by one. He's going on his best friend in bed and houses on. He feels the across the universe on his hands and knees. Oh, Charlie has stolen the handle and the train it won't stop going. winds howling, catches angels when they fall. And the old-time winner, he's got him by the ball. He picks up Gideon's Bible, open at page 1. God let go the handle, and the train it won't stop going, no, it won't go down. It don't go down. It don't go down.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Comcast and Xfinity.com, offering Xfinity TV, Internet, home phone, and home security services. Information on all that Xfinity has to offer in the Westfield area is available online at Xfinity.com. Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
And there's my graphic. It's 8:23 and a quarter. The 14th day of April, the 26th day, I lost track of the apocalypse, the year 2020. I believe I have a caller coming in, normally in the studio on the second Tuesdays of the month, but we're gonna do it this way. Hope Tremblay, the managing editor from the Westfield News. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing as well as I can.
So I would imagine I want to talk because we only have about 10 minutes here. I actually have Mayor Humason coming up at the 35-minute mark.
Nice.
Yeah, I've started having him call in every week with just words of wisdom and encouragement and, the latest, greatest, because I think it's important. But we want to talk about how involved the paper is actually with the COVID-19 right now, because it seems to be, that's the only thing I see in it.
Yeah, it's crazy because we're mixing the hard news information. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay. We're mixing in, the hard news that people need to know as far as things that are closed, which of course is like everything now, with, updates of numbers of cases and what's going on, but we're trying to mix in the positive news. But even the positive news somehow is tied to the virus, that they had like sort of the parade. Police and fire went by Nova Hospital and dispatch the other day to say hi to folks and thank them. But still, virus related. We have a great story. I think it's coming out tomorrow on the Westfield Athenaeum is finding ways to still do some of their events in an online way. So they have their poetry thing coming up, but still virus related because it's, online instead of in person. So it seems like no matter what we try to do about the normal business, it's still somehow virus related. And that's just the state of our world right now. But there's still lots of good things happening that we're telling, which is nice. We're trying to get those, human stories out.
When was the last time you saw The Office? Not the TV show. I'm talking about that place on School Street.
I was gonna say I'm that odd person who doesn't watch The Office. It was, let's see, my kid's last day of school was March 13th. It was the following Wednesday, whatever date that is, the 18th or something like that. That is the last time I was in the office.
So you've been telecommuting, and for some of you out there who don't know what telecommuting is working from work working from home using your computer.
Yeah.
So you've not only been telecommuting, but you've also been homeschooling at the same time, right?
Oh, God help me! Yes, I have.
I see the daily updates. How long did it take before you had to have a White Claw?
Oh, half an hour.
Well, so what's it like juggling?
45 minutes.
So what is it like, doing your telecommuting and also, teaching at home?
It's tough out there. My fellow working parents feel me. Because we're inevitably, too, my kids are only 18 months apart. They're spending 24/7 together. So there's lots of, I feel like I'm busting out fights on the recess,
We should buy you
every day.
a referee stripes shirt.
Oh, I would love that, yeah.
Because me and my brother were 21 months apart, so I understand that pain.
Oh. Yeah, they're so close and they're together so much, and now they're together all the time. We're all together. My husband's actually a teacher, so he's teaching, but he teaches high school kids, so it's a whole different animal than my 4th and 5th grader. But we're plugging away. My daughter's great. She's actually they get their assignments Monday, like Sunday or Monday morning, and my daughter is done with all of her assignments already for the whole week.
That's something I would do. I would blow right through everything and just get everything done, so I have the rest of the week to myself.
Yes,
that's me. That's me as a kid. That's what I would do.
Yeah. She just wants it to be all done, and then it's she has some specials assignments like art things and stuff that she looks forward to. She actually gets PE, so she saved those, but she did all her actual classroom work already.
How do you do PE? Because there's nothing to tune it or turn in.
It's a video.
You have to videotape it?
It's a video thing, yeah. It's like on a particular site, you have to video yourself, and it uploads it.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
There's
Southwick.
There's no cheating around that one then.
No, absolutely. There's no, you can't look up for help. You can't check Google. It's you.
And what if you barely have dial-up internet? Then what do you do?
Well, if you have dial-up internet, you probably have a lot of other problems than that one particular problem. I feel for folks who don't have good internet or don't have any at all, because I don't know how they're doing it. They're doing it all on paper.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking with Superintendent Czaporowski about that in the next hour. There has to be households in the city that don't have internet. How are we serving that? That'll be a question coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know that and he'll tell you this, but I know Westfield Gas and Electric was setting up some hotspots around town, and they were giving away Chromebooks so that people could find a space where they could, get online. But I'm sure that isn't reaching every single person. I'm sure some folks have some, technology deficiencies that they're dealing with. Luckily, my husband teaches IT, so we're good there. Well, our technology stuff is good. But we're just, plugging along. We're still getting out there. Not as much. The first week or two, I was leaving the house fairly often to go cover some things. But it's really, as a testament to Westfield and most people listening, there isn't much to go take pictures of.
Everybody's kind of locked down pretty much now, and that's kind of dropping the curve.
You know, you know what you can take pictures of? The buds coming out in the trees, and I'm using that as a segue to ask, do you happen to have allergies?
I do. Allergies.
Sunday, when I was driving down the road, I saw the first few little fluffs of that poplar stuff out in the air.
Is that the fluffy white stuff?
Yeah.
I'm taking my Claritin.
Yeah, and I get the shots, and the office that administers the shots is closed. So you hear me, do the occasional cough or whatever now. Don't take me out in the woods and shoot me. I don't have COVID, all right? These are my allergies. Although I'm sure there are a few people out there who don't even need COVID as an excuse to take me out to the woods to shoot me.
That's right. It's just a good excuse. Well, I had that last week. I actually isolated myself for a couple of days in one of my kids' room. I kicked my son out of his room, and I stayed in there for a couple of days because I was just not feeling good at all. Mm-hmm. And it passed in a matter of days, so I chalked it up to I'm just tired, and it's allergies, so I'm good. It's been over a week, and nothing has progressed.
Well, this is something I suffer with for years and years and years, so yeah, I know for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't gotten my 4 injections into my arm yet this month, so
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine aren't that bad. I'm with Pete. Take a Claritin, and I'm good.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
All right. So I was going to ask.
Still do my column just for you.
I was going to ask about plans coming up, but we all know everyone's plans right now. I do have. I do have 5 weeks.
My daughter likes to say to me, I was just going to say, my daughter likes to say to me, Mom, what are we doing today? And I look at her like, seriously?
What are we doing today? The same thing we did yesterday and the same thing we did the day before that.
Yeah, Mommy's working on the computer, and it's a free-for-all for the rest of you.
I just thought of a clip I'm going out to get so we can play that next week on your show. A clip from Pinky and the Brain.
Oh.
What are we doing today, Brain? The same thing we did yesterday, Pinky.
Okay.
We're going to rule the world.
All right. I remember who they are now, because I for a second I couldn't get Ren and Stimpy out of my head.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
They're like creepy lab mice or something, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have been saving all of your columns, all the your op-eds, and eventually we'll go over them if warranted.
One of these days. One of these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, so I can open up the line for the mayor to call in, anything you want to get out regarding the Westfield news at this point?
Well, just that, folks, I really appreciate, we all do, we really appreciate the folks who subscribe and are still helping us stay afloat by paying for a subscription, and folks who are already out and stopping at stores and getting a copy. We really, really appreciate that, because like any other business right now, our ad sales are down. We're not selling as many. That's just, the way it's the world right now. So we really appreciate that. But we are online for free at thewestfieldnews.com. So we're still bringing you news and information for free that you need right now. And we're going to we're keeping at it. There may be fewer stories right now because there's fewer things happening, but we're trying to get you stuff. And anybody, now's a great time for people to participate in their paper. Send me a picture. Tell me what the heck you're doing. I'm actually hoping folks will send me some recipes and pictures of them cooking with their kids, because that's what we've been doing a lot of, is cooking. And we really want people to get involved in the paper, especially right now. And you can send them to hope@thewestfieldnewsgroup.com.
hope@thewestfieldnewsgroup.com. And that noise that some folks might have heard whilst you were trying to get that little pitch out was JPEG Luca cleaning and wiping up the table and pushing things around on it, because we don't have our shock mounts yet. So, and anything that happens on the table is picked up. So, he was sitting there during Bob's show.
He was doing it on purpose.
He was sitting there on Bob's show, and now he comes in and sterilizes it, and he's still sitting there. There was no need.
What did they say? An abundance of caution.
Okay.
That's the term.
I'm good with you on that. Hope stay healthy. We'll get you back in here soon, and at some point we'll get making the list started back up too.
Oh, yeah, I've got a list going.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, everyone. Stay well. Talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you soon, Hope. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. And I hear the phone ringing, and it's 8:35. And I love the timing of some of these folks. Unfortunately, none of these people are calling on the direct line, so Pete needs to figure out what's going on.
Nope, he's in.
Okay, he's in?
Yeah.
Okay, 8:35 in the morning, on the horn with us now. And I love the way he's been calling in.
I think the den mother's on too.
We'll verify that too. Okay, I heard her in there. I love the way that he's calling in once a week, for 5 or 10 minutes, just to, help us out here. Words of wisdom, words of encouragement, latest, greatest news, things going on around Westfield. Good morning, Mayor Humason.
Good morning, Ken.
All right.
Good morning, sir.
Hope's still there?
Nope, we dropped her off to accommodate you.
Oh, that's awful.
No, that's fine.
No, that's not. That isn't awful, because remember last week we even booted my den mother, Kathy Palmer. Actually, we didn't do it on purpose. That was the equipment down here.
Yeah.
Hey, Kathy. Good morning.
Maybe it's not her.
Maybe she's just being quiet out of respect.
I'm being quiet so you don't cut me off again.
It wasn't on purpose.
Good job.
I'll put my mask back on so the mayor has something to talk about.
Pete, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that yesterday.
It was really cool. Actually, it's a cool looking mask, and it's very, very comfortable. And it doesn't fog up my glasses, which is key.
Yep, that's important.
But can you breathe in it? Because unfortunately, the masks that I've tried, I can't breathe the hot air coming back out of my mouth with them.
Oh, I'll show you. I'll put it on while you're talking to the mayor.
Okay. I actually think you got several references to Luke, I Am Your Father, with that mask. Yeah. So Mayor, how are things in the city this week?
Well, they're going along. I mean, yesterday was a great day with the weather. Rainy days like that are good because they keep people inside, which is sort of what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
They also drive because nobody wants to be up indoors all day. And it was crazy with drinking some the air. So some of us with allergies, it helps us to survive.
Are you on a cell phone, Don?
I am. Bad connection?
You might need to get a little closer to a window.
Ooh. I'll try.
Oh, okay. All right. That seemed
is that better?
That seemed to have cleared it up a little bit.
Good. To the right.
Yeah. So the rain definitely kept us in, and because of the lack of snow we had, I'm sure we really needed that for our reservoir as well, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, I always like the idea. I live on a well, so I always like the idea of refreshing the well and filling it up so we can continue to wash our hands 4,000 times a day, and shower and flush toilets and stuff like that. So it's nice to have that water.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes to come around to August and say, "Hey, guess what? We have to put a water watch in place. No watering the lawns, no washing your car, no filling your swimming pool." No bathing your children.
Yeah, swimming pools. We're going to be talking about swimming pools pretty soon.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah. So, not trying to put you on the spot with this, but it's come up a couple of times in the past and on social media, and I see things changing. I see things changing constantly, like Walmart. All right, part of it's closed up.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all open again. Part of it's closed up. Now it's open again. Is that the city doing anything? Excuse me. Is that the city doing anything there, or is that just their own operations?
Well, I think it's whoever you talk to, because it's not Walmart's not supposed to be opening up again. And once it was restricted, it was meant to keep open just the part that was viewed or are determined to be essential, mainly groceries.
Mm-hmm.
But then corporate from the so they opened up again. So we said, okay, fine, here's your letter. And then they closed down again. So, you know, they've been good lately. They've been really helpful. In fact, you know, with some things that we needed to have them open up for. For example, they had materials for masks that were in their non-essential spot.
Mm-hmm.
We said, guys, we need people to make masks. Can you move the material over and sell it to people who want to make masks? And the manager said, no, I'm not going to sell it to you. I'm going to give it away.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you had me going there for a minute.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. She's like, I'm not going to sell it to you. We're going to give it to people who want it. So the manager actually gave, I think, Jimmy Wiggs, our emergency management director, a bunch of the material to give to the mask-making groups here in Westfield. So really nice. Nice thing.
Yeah, between that and Ocean State was giving away free material to do that as well. So I think at this point, after hearing that, there's plenty of material out there for people who want to make masks.
Yeah, people are really doing a great job too. They're coming in all shapes and sizes and colors, and you know, I picked up one last week from Chief Egloff for myself and for my wife. My son Quinn has one now from the daycare where he goes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. Well, how does I understand how you get your paws on them, but how does John Q. Public get their hands on any of these?
We've got to find that out because there are now more and more masks being made. Of course, the first batch are going to the people at the hospitals and the doctors' offices and stuff like that. But there are a lot of others that are out there too. And if you listen to like Marty Walsh, the mayor of Boston, he said, you know, folks, anybody who goes out in public, please wear a mask.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I said to myself, how do you get a mask to every person in the city of Boston?
Yeah.
I ended up buying one off of Etsy. I found some on Etsy. The black one I actually bought from the Chinese, the Wish app, which is the Chinese goods. They're ramping up their production of stuff. It took about 2 to 3 weeks to get here, but it got here. So,
all right. So I'll put this out there. If anyone has a supply or a source for general public for these masks, find me on Facebook. Contact the mayor at City Hall, and we'll get the information out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love people to have them, especially for when they're going out and we're trying to keep the social distancing, and people are doing a really good job of that. But if there's an example of the time when you might get too close to somebody else, it's great to have.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much even to protect yourself, but just if you might have the virus without being aware, maybe you're asymptomatic, you can prevent passing that on to somebody else by wearing a mask.
Right. That mask is not in place of social distancing. It's in addition to.
Right. It's a benefit.
Yeah.
Hey, I also want to say thank you to everybody who came out this past Saturday before Easter. We had Operation Bunny Trail in Westfield, and the Easter Bunny came around. Mm-hmm. And the fire department and police department took the Easter Bunny on a long trip
mm-hmm.
up the street in Westfield. And it was a two-hour ride for the rabbit. But he got to visit with people and wave at the children on the sides of the streets. It was fantastic. It worked out to be great. And people did exactly what we asked them to do. They stayed away from each other. They
mm-hmm.
stayed out on the sides of the streets. They stayed outdoors. They didn't assemble or congregate in big groups, but they were able to see the rabbit as he went by and wave, and it was a nice day. It was a good, sort of a little good celebration for families going into Easter.
Best that could have been done in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out exactly the way we had hoped. There were obviously some critics because guess what? There always are.
I saw some of them critics in social media regarding that. And I guess maybe the big concern was if you're not on the route, people were going to drive their kids over to the route, and they might have been around other people.
Yeah, you know what happened? Folks went to, like, the schools, for example. I was up by Southampton Road School. There were people who had just lined up along the frontage by the playground of Southampton Road School.
Mm-hmm.
But there's plenty of distance between people.
Mm-hmm.
Quinn and I watched the rabbit. We were in front of Holy Trinity at first, in front of the clock tower when the rabbit went by the first time. And we just kept going and kind of followed him around. we were bunny stalking. But it was
executive privilege.
we enjoyed the parade. I mean,
I saw on social media, they had put the state had put a call out to limit the number of people in the grocery stores to 40% of their occupancy.
Yes.
Now, I figured out, the square footage of the building, and I estimated that FCO, fire code occupancy, had to have been at least 400 or 500 people, minimum. So at 40%, you're looking at 200 to 300 people, which...
Yeah, it's down around 218, something like that. And now, if you heard, Big Y is actually going to reduce that a little bit themselves. They're going to be restricting even more the size or the number of people that can go into their stores.
Exactly. That's precisely what I was going to get into. They announced it yesterday, but on top of that, they're making their aisles, from what I understand, one way. So you're going to only be able to go one direction down one aisle and one direction down in the other aisle.
I'm a guy. That's always how I did it.
Yeah, I read that. I read that, and I'm like, okay, well, that's going to make me stay in the supermarket a little bit longer because I already know where everything is, and I can run and zoom into one aisle in one area, grab what I need, turn around and go the other direction and get the heck out of there. But now I'm gonna have to get stuck in traffic flow in order to get my bottle of vinegar,
Well, I guess we all have to learn new things, and that's what we're doing during this process.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is I've got plenty of time for it. Yeah, I don't have to rush off to work or anything right now. So if I have to spend an extra 10 minutes there, it won't be the end of the world.
Well, if I could say anything, I would just say to the people of the city, our numbers continue to go up, so we still have to take this seriously. But I want to say thank you for everybody who's modified their lives, who've changed how they live for the time being, anyway. Try to keep people safe, themselves and their families, obviously, but also the first responders and the folks who are doing food delivery and the folks who are picking up our trash and paving our streets and doing all the work that's being done around the city. So, I know it's sometimes an inconvenience. Actually, not sometimes. It's a big inconvenience. But as I've said often, we're going to get through it. We have to. It's what we do. In the end, hopefully we'll learn some lessons and be better placed for next time. When he pops up.
Can I give you but before I ask you for whatever joke you're going to do this week, can I put a plea out to the city on behalf of most of the citizens here in town? Would you please get the road construction and the road work done now?
before the people are back on the road?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great?
I just got a text from a woman this morning who said, "Oh, I'm so excited you started construction on Root Road. Here's what I found out you're doing, though. You're only doing one half of Root Road." I'm like, "Oh, no."
Oh, no.
So I said, okay, well, I will speak to Dave Phillips and find out what part we're doing.
All right. See, that's the thing. Those things don't. Government has to keep going on, even though there's a huge public health emergency, and those things still have to get done.
Yeah, so that's why I'm always, the guys who are picking up the trash and picking up our recycling, delivering the mail, those folks out there were, stocking the shelves and keeping the food out there for us. They're still working, and they need to be kept safe as well. My friends at City Hall who are like, "Hey, look, we're still in our offices, we're still doing our jobs, but we appreciate having City Hall closed so that we don't have to worry about, members of the public bringing COVID into the City Hall while they're trying to get their essential job done." That's why we're doing it.
Okay. I'd like to talk to you again next week, if that's going to be possible.
Sure.
Also, I've got about half a minute left here. You're usually pretty good with coming up with a quick joke on the fly, and I mentioned a few weeks back, we do have to have a little bit of humor involved here as well. So what do you have for me this week?
I'm not sure if this one's a really funny one, but I liked it on paper.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, when we tell jokes about quarantine, what do? We use our inside voices.
I'm not going to buzz the boss.
Kathy Palmer with it.
No, I can't do that. Mayor Humason, I want to thank you for keeping us updated and calling in.
Hey, thanks so much, Kenny. Peter, take care of yourself, guys.
All right, thank you.
Stay healthy. Stay safe.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Pete, can I get a quick break? And then after that, I'm going to talk with JPEG Luca regarding a new music series that we're doing here at Westfield Community Programming.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Hi, this is Harry Rock, host of Rock on Westfield every fourth Wednesday at 8 a.m. Tune in for my view of this place I call home.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Okay, it is 8:54 going on to 8:54 and 3/4, blah, blah, blah. It's the zombie apocalypse. And during the this apocalypse, I wasn't quite sure when we were ready to get some of this information out publicly, but we have been secretly filming some musical acts here at the studio, and it's all start of a series called Studio 120 Sessions. JPEG Luca is here with me. He's one of the masterminds behind it. What are we doing with 120 sessions?
For one thing, it's not so much a secret because we've been doing some live. There we go. For one thing, it's not so much of a secret because we've been doing live Facebook, whatever that's called.
Some of them have been on Facebook Live.
And actually, that's been pretty good. That's fun because we get some real time feedback from folks that are watching. But we that hour and a half, 2 hour session will get edited down to about a 30-minute piece of music and interviews with the bands or the musician, the artists, and we've got it in a cool little setting here in the studio, and it's fun. It's going to be nice. We've got lots of room to work with, so we're practicing our social distancing. So I encourage bands to check us out. And where can we get? Pete, how can they get a hold of us, or Kenny? How can they get a hold of us to schedule a session in the next few weeks?
Well, folks can find me on Facebook and just message me, or they can find Pete on Facebook, or they can email him at what, Pete?
PEGadmin at westfieldtv.org.
So pegadmin at westfieldtv.org.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So if you do have a musical act, a nice 3-piece acoustic thing would be awesome.
Those are perfect.
Those are perfect for in here. Get in touch with one of us. Currently, we're recording on Saturdays and Sundays. We can fit you in just about any time. There may be a few places during the week which we can fit you in, but we'll take that.
Depending on all the boards and commissions I have to cover now,
and
with the way the law changed.
And the beauty of this is all you have to walk in with is your voice and your instruments. We can direct into the system, and I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for you. So we want to bring we know that the talents we have in this area is itching to get out and play, and we know we have a lot of fans that are itching to hear and see you folks. So we're pleased to be able to provide this little outlet for you.
Mm-hmm. I was referencing to this as social distance fest on steroids. Would that be a pretty decent way of describing it?
Okay, yeah. And we dress it up. We make it look like a nice little nightclub setting. We've got some cool lights in here to make it look good, and we're working to make it sound good as well. So it's a professional video shoot sessions.
Yeah. It looks like something you'd stumble across on a real TV station, right?
Yeah, and honestly, it's because of the work that you, Ken, and Pete, you do to make the magic happen back there. So
and speaking of which, it is the three of us involved with this. But when you come in here and you perform, I'm the only one in the studio, and I'm at the far end just operating the cameras. Jay is in our green room working the audio board, and Pete is in the production studio, and those are all different locations separated by drywall and glass.
Very thick glass, by the way.
Yeah.
So spray can't get through it.
Yep. All right. So if you are not a band member or a musician, but you know somebody, please pass that information on. Reach out to myself or Jay or Pete at any time. We'd love to get you into the studio. It'll take about an hour and a half. You perform about half a dozen songs, and then Jay talks to you for a little bit, and
we're scheduling 2-hour sessions.
Yeah, it's plain and simple. Well, it's not plain, and we make it look simple, but it really isn't. I shouldn't have used that term.
For those that don't know how to get a hold of you or Pete, what's the best way?
Go to westfieldtv.org, and there is the contact link there.
Okay.
And that will actually go to Pete.
Okay.
So westfieldtv.org, because this is a production of Westfield Community Programming, WCPC 15, which falls under westfieldtv.org.
And the bands, of course, will have the rights to those videos to use as promotion materials for them. So when this whole thing finally is over, they're welcome to use this to say, "Hey, look, this is what we do." If you'd like to, get a little sample of what we do out there in a club.
And the final there's going to be small music videos made from it, little clips. The final production We'll be on YouTube, so you don't have to be in Westfield to tune into Channel 15 to watch it either.
This whole thing is going to be available worldwide. We're going to rotate them onto westfieldtv.org so anybody can see them, and it's great programming out there. So we hope you enjoy it.
All right, thanks for taking a minute to cover that with us, Jay.
You're welcome.
All right, Pete, I don't see in his chair. It is the top of the hour. It's 9:30. And I'm ready to go to my top of the hour, and I see him coming to his perch now. Are we ready to break away, Pete? Okay, take me away.
Burn down the store, take what you want and more. Shop until you drop, voodoo consumer, never stop. Load up on supplies, no sale, no compromise. Gun crazy down the mall, voodoo consumer, take it all. Eat this, drink this, try this, charge it, it's fabulous. Step right up and take it, it's fabulous. If you can't afford it, fake it. Be deviously dangerous, ridiculously cool. Let's make it fabulous. 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 Drive me to the bank. Kneel down and give me thanks. Grab your credit card, voodoo consumer, kiss me hard. Eat this, drink this, try this, charge it, it's fabulous. Step right up and take it, it's fabulous. If you can't afford it, fake it. Be deviously dangerous, ridiculously cool. Let's make it fabulous. Too late, voodoo consumer terminus. Eat this, drink this, try this, buy this, wear this, fly this, play this, charge it, it's fabulous. Step right up and take it, it's fabulous. If you can't afford it, fake it. Be deviously dangerous, ridiculously marvelous, meticulously treacherous, disarduously cruel. Just make it fabulous. 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 Fabulous.
Underwriting for WSKB's community radio programming is brought to you in part by R. Levesque Associates. They are offering landscape architecture, civil engineering, environmental permitting, and land surveying. RLA is a second-generation company devoted to excellence in the planning and design of outdoor spaces. On the web at rlaland.com or at 40 School Street in Westfield.
Underwriting for Community Radio on WSKB is brought to you in part by Rockies. Over 30 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Florida. One of the nation's largest ACE dealers. Expertise and great product selection in paint, hardware, lawn and garden. That's Rockies. Rock solid service since 1926. On the web at Rockies.com.
Saturdays were made for polka. Tune in to the Polka Jammer Network starting at 6 a.m. and Polka Hall of Famer Billy Bellina, Breakfast at BB at 8:30.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
9:05 and a quarter here on this 14th day of April in the year 2020, Anno Domini, day number 26 of the zombie apocalypse. This is the Den Ken Stomsky behind the microphone. In the control room, getting to the keys, Chairman Meow, the April Admiral of the Airwaves, Peter Cole.
Something like that.
Hey, is my den mother still on the line?
I'm still here.
Okay, excellent.
Is that Kathy Palmer?
Den mother extraordinary Kathy Palmer is on
Kathy,
the line.
I wish you were with us. I know you can't be, and I probably shouldn't be here either, but I miss you.
Well, we miss you too, but the thing is that you can't fit 3 people at that table.
No, you can't.
No, and that voice that you're hearing is Superintendent of Schools Stefan Czaporowski. And we have so much to discuss. He decided to risk everything and come in here, but we do have at least 6 feet between us right now.
And the custodians left us with gallons of disinfectant before they departed. So we've been spraying, we've been hosing this studio down. It's probably not good for the microphones, but they've been misted and sprayed every single day. So.
Well, I noticed the coverings aren't on them either.
Do you want one?
No, I'm good.
We spray those too. We actually dip those.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Might have to put a request in for additional microphone funds.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some more. Yeah, I'm gonna get some more. Well, yeah, I'm gonna get some more covers for sure.
Those can't be too expensive, Pete, are they?
No, they're not bad. No,
I
they're
didn't
not
think
bad.
So in between sitting by your own personal lake, enjoying the weather, there's still a lot of things going on in your mind right now, aren't there?
Absolutely. I say this, and I think people are like, what is he talking about? I think that, and this is true of a lot of our teaching staff too. I'm probably working harder now than I did when regular session, just because of all of the things that come up that you just never anticipated. I mean, this is new ground for everyone. So, I know I mentioned before when I first got here, if I don't have to do another Zoom meeting or teleconference again, I'd be perfectly fine with that. And I think we're all missing that face-to-face contact. So, which is why I wanted to come in. I mean, I could have called from home, or actually, but I needed to go to the office today anyway. I try to go a couple days a week to do some paperwork of what little there is, but
new territory for you, and I've set aside this next whole hour for us to go over things. So that's why I'm comfortable shooting over to Kathy and all of her 5 years of teaching. Kathy, completely unprecedented for you as well, correct?
5. Yeah, I've never seen anything like this. Absolutely not. And he's right. And thank you to the superintendent and all the people on down that are really working 24/7 to make it happen.
It's quite an effort. I mean, when this started, so the governor hadn't decided to close schools yet. There was a block of us that were on the phone and deciding, we're going to close schools, and we did that. I believe that Thursday. Or Friday, right before the governor, and he closed over that weekend. So he was going to do it, I think. But so many superintendents have said we're just closing our schools.
This was
in March.
2 or 3 days
before St. Patrick's
right before St. Patrick's.
2 or 3 days right after the colleges started to kick
their
people
kids
off.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that at that point that anyone realized the magnitude of this, but it certainly hit you like a brick in the face, really, by that point. So. So we had decided to close schools at that point, and then the governor did his closure, which we were thankful for. We were asking for it sooner. We didn't want to go on our own and go rogue, but it just, at that point, you have to consider the safety of the students, and I don't care who you are. If you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Well, and I know how the regular flu goes through a building like this. We saw that during this winter. It was a particularly bad flu season. Now, we talked about this with the Chinese not quite being straight with everybody. We're not sure if that was the regular flu going through this building, or if it was an early cases of this, or milder cases. You don't know. That's part of the problem.
There were a lot of people out, though. I mean, we were doing. The state had given us attendance goals as part of accountability because they have nothing else to do, but to make sure that we we reach a certain percentage of students attending, and we were right on target, actually slightly above target. And then that flu season came, Pete.
Right? Sure.
And brought us back down to where we were above average, and then we went down to average, and then after that, it's just, and they stopped counting attendance for accountability as of March 2nd. So, because once this started, what was happening is once this started getting out there, some parents already started keeping their kids home. They started doing that.
I saw it start up on social media. Well, this city has closed school. This city has closed school. That city has closed school. Why isn't Westfield? Well, you know what? I'm going to keep my kid home anyway.
Right.
And the parents had the right to do that.
They do. And at any time, if you don't like my call on a snow day and you think it's too slippery, you can keep your child home.
You hated the snow days, period, and now you're dealing with this.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I take it. Well, no, actually, I don't want to snow either. That would just make it. That would just be pouring salt in the wound at the moment. And so then when the commissioner, we were having constant calls with the commissioner, and he put out there that he wanted enrichment activities ungraded, which is what we developed. And I really want to shout out our teachers and Susan Dargy, our director of curriculum, and Erica Mascadrelli. They've done so much. But we put out some enrichment activities for families to work on at home while we waited for the next step. And because it's difficult, we have, our concern here in Westfield, too, is that not every family has a device or computer at home. And I know of now 34 families that don't have internet access. So
that was going to be a question coming up.
And I have an exact number. Does that surprise you that I have an exact number?
An exact number is impressive. Yes. That tells me you did your homework.
I do. Well, and now I'm trying to work with Gas and Electric to see what would it cost to get them Whip City Fiber. And we have a group of administrators that are going to adopt one family, and we'll get them internet access so they can participate. So I'm still waiting to hear back. But, and if that doesn't work, then I'll try Comcast. I've got to do something because, it's interesting. I had a parent.
If they're downtown, even DSL might be an option because that's where Verizon Switch is.
Right. So I've got, but I did try to go with the local.
Yeah.
You do try to go with your local.
Yeah.
That's just, to me, the right thing to do. And I think they're going to be able to help us out. But
that's good.
So then the governor made the announcement to close. No forewarning whatsoever. We knew when he was going to come and close it. We probably got a 30-minute heads up so we could react.
Oh.
But when he did it through May 4th, we didn't know that was coming. So that was just like, oh, really?
Yeah, well, it was April 8th originally.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that we could have come back then, but I think that that was the initial goal. Again, before people realized how quickly this was going to spread. So then he gave us then we got until April 7th to develop a remote learning plan. And again, I want to thank our teachers, the central office team. We did before we had a closure plan, which was informational and had all kinds of activities by grade level, things that kids could work on while they were at home. But then now we had to start making it count. And so the commissioner recommended we do credit, no credit, or when you and I were kids, or Pete too.
Yeah.
We called that pass-fail.
Pass-fail, yep.
Yeah. So credit, no credit is more politically correct, I guess. So anyway.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah, you can't have fail anymore.
Nobody
nobody
can fail. Do you have trophies for fail?
No, it's pass-fail.
Okay.
That's what we're doing.
All right.
It's basically you do the work or you don't. And at that point, but the thing is it takes time to develop that, and so I've gotten probably 200 emails from parents over this time, 3 negative, 197 positive, and one of them was blasted me for it took way too long to get the remote learning plan online, and I'm in Chicopee, and they've been doing this now for 3 weeks, and I said, well, okay, but I actually listened to the commissioner when he said no grading. And then we had our plan by April 7th, but then the reality is that we had to put out we pushed out 1,400 Chromebooks last week.
I know. I was
1,400.
1,400 Chromebooks. And so had I rolled out learning any earlier than that, 1,400 of the 5,400 students that we have would not have potentially had access to the material.
So that's a quarter.
Can you tell me where the equity is in that, Pete?
Yeah, that's a quarter of the students. And I know the technology department, and they're short-staffed as it is, we're scrambling, literally scrambling, trying to do their best of not getting sick.
Right.
And getting that stuff done.
Is it also possible that some of these disgruntled people were aggravated that they had to keep their children occupied for a few weeks while they waited for stuff to work on?
I think that's part of it. It's interesting. And I've been trying to stay away from social media, but I did see one post on there that made me laugh. I've been a teacher for my kids now for 4 days or something.
Okay.
And I suspended one for 3 days and expelled the other already.
Yeah.
And it's just so. But again, it's the equity piece, and I'm really big on that. Listen, I grew up poor. I know what that's like, and I don't think it's fair to. I believe in equity as much as we can, particularly in our schools, because if you don't treat kids equally, they're not going to have equal opportunity. And I think that every kid deserves
I believe in equal opportunity.
I believe in equal opportunity.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a Chromebook and you can't sign into Google, that's not equal opportunity for me.
Mm-hmm.
That means you can't do the work.
Okay.
And if it's credit, no credit, pass, fail, then I can't put you in that predicament.
How do you determine pass or fail if you're not grading?
So now it's if whether you're doing the work or not. And
so could it be called? I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but effort, no effort.
Sure.
Okay.
The commissioner went with credit, no credit.
Okay.
And this,
all right. Well, that puts it in a term that I understand because I don't have children.
Right.
I'm not involved with the school system, and this is another reason why you're here, because people who have students, they've already gotten a lot of this information because there's websites that parents can go to, but there are a lot of other curious folks in town who
what is everybody doing?
Exactly.
And if you follow Westfield MA Public Schools Facebook page, I post stuff regularly on there about some of the great this morning before coming in, I posted there's a teacher at Fort Meadow doing music class at it's a half-hour music class. It was pretty great. I watched it. I mean, just the learning process. Our teachers are working very hard, and in areas where they haven't had to work before. I mean, we've obviously since I've been superintendent, we've really plunged into technology, but not to this degree. I mean, we've never had to do this before. This has not happened. And I think back, like, if this had happened when I was a principal here before I was superintendent, we wouldn't have had these Chromebooks to distribute. we had nothing to distribute, right, Pete? We had nothing.
Right, yeah, no, that's come under your administration. It was and that but also at that point when you were a principal here, that technology didn't exist either. So
no.
It was brand new. And it was untested, and now it's matured, and where you can really feel confident pushing those out, and they'll work.
And so I really think our teachers are they've been sending me some lessons. I saw a video of and a culinary lesson that was I posted from Westfield High School, where they did the history, and the kids, if they followed along, were making a strawberry cobbler, which is terrible, huh? But you're also learning math in that too. Well, by the way, so there's a lot of creativity going on. There's just a lot of good things happening, and I'm really pleased with all of our teachers and what they're trying to do. So officially, the graded material started yesterday. Now, I still have some families that weren't able to come pick up Chromebooks last week, and so I was actually just before I came in, I was texting back and forth with the tech center about when we're going to do a makeup day, and I'll probably do it out of Westwood rather than the schools, because I'm trying to keep the schools closed so that we don't have to continuously disinfect them over and over again. And the more people that you let in, obviously that becomes an issue. But 1,400 Chromebooks, and we still have probably another 100 to give out. So that is, what did you say, about a quarter, right?
It's a quarter of your student population.
Yeah.
And that's actually, it's a little bit more than that, but still a quarter of your student population needed help to get this going.
Right. And again, I want to thank everyone who, distributing 1,400 Chromebooks, by the way, is no easy task by site. So, the principals came. We had volunteers come from staff because I'm not really requiring anybody to put themselves in a risky situation. And some of our staff members are high risk for sure, whether it's any of the list of 10 things that they put out there that you may have that can cause you to die from this. And so I would never force people to do that. So we worked with a volunteer basis. We got the masks, the gloves, and all these things are going on. And we're also, working with emergency management and giving them all of the materials that we have in terms of gloves, masks, N95 masks out of the auto shops, those Tyvek suits that, for PPE. So we're doing that. There was so much happening. Our school nurses are working with the health department now, doing follow-up calls and those kinds of things. So if people want to know, the school department is still functioning, and people are still working. And again, a lot of it is remote, but there are, we still have people coming in to do things.
Okay. I want to take a solid 5 minutes out to really understand what's happening with the remote learning, and then we'll break away, and then we'll figure out whatever else we need to make sure we get out, because there's a lot of other topics that I want to hit upon.
Sure.
But I am a student.
Yep.
All right. Tell me how the remote learning works with one of these Chromebooks.
So we issued and it's not just the Chromebook. So we issued guidelines, okay, in terms of, because I'm not. Listen, if you know anything about me, I'm not the micromanager and telling you got to do A, B, and C directly. I trust that you're a professional and that you know how to teach your kids, and you've been teaching in a lot of cases 20 plus years. You know how to do this. So in some cases, assignments are put right into Google. There's Google Classroom. So
what is Google Classroom?
So it is a platform where the teacher can post assignments. You can go back and forth. It's almost like an online. If you've ever taken an online class at I used to take those at Westfield State. So there's interaction there between the students and the teacher. The assignments are posted there. The students can turn in their assignments through Google Classroom, and the teacher can grade it there, or in this case, give credit there instead of no credit.
Okay.
But they can also do videos through Google Meet. So in other words, the teacher can actually provide some direct instruction. And so you will know when you have to do that. But the video can be saved too. So you don't have to watch it when it doesn't have to be live, for example. You can actually watch it later. But I know a lot of our teachers want to see our kids. And so they kind of want them there. Like, all right, listen, we're going to do this at 9:30 on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we're going to talk about this. And this will be the direct instruction piece. But the assignment piece is the key part. So some of our assignments, like for science classes, are to go outside and do something in nature in terms of biology, for example, right? So there's a lot of different things to it. But what's nice is it's paperless. You can turn your assignments in. You can get your assignments there. Instruction can happen there. We're also using Zoom a lot. And so instruction is happening that way. But that's how you get your work for your classes.
So it's not an app on these Chromebooks. This is a web-based utility.
Yeah. It is.
You just need to be able to get on a browser in order to do it.
It is.
You can do it on an iPad. You can do it on your phone. If it's cumbersome on your
my
phone.
It's cumbersome on your phone. I do have it though.
Yeah.
And right, but
I know even in this shop, like Mrs. Grimsley put out a thing saying, "Hey, Pete's doing a new show, Studio 120 Sessions. If anybody wants to work on a logo, he'll take whatever submissions." And I used hers, and I used John Slattery's, Junior. Not the chef, but the chef gave some ideas over his son's shoulder.
I think it's a unique opportunity, but if you're at home and you're a parent, and this is the other part we have to think about too. So if you're at home and you're a parent and you're still working, who's forcing the kids to do that work? I mean, I understand the problems and a few concerns that have come my way with that, and I just let people know if you're having trouble encouraging your child to learn, imagine sometimes that we go through too. It's just something to think about.
Okay, if after 5 days you start to see an issue, maybe the problem was not the teacher.
But before this,
right?
The problem was always, it seems like the problems was frequently the teacher for some parents.
But the other thing too is I was encouraging this. My girlfriend's daughter she changed her complete schedule, and she was so tired, and she was worried that she was so tired and her work was coming in late because Connecticut was doing the same thing, and they started about a week before.
Right.
But I told her, I'm like, you need to tell her to get up the same time she did for school every day and get into that mode.
You
get in the same schedule. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to keep it in a routine. And if listen, and and I know you want to take a break, so I will just finish up. The remote learning plan, we rolled out our framework to principals who develop their plans with their teachers. So the principals have expectations of the teachers, and the teachers are doing it.
Mhm.
And the one thing I do want to point out too is, people have to understand is, because I've gotten, a couple of emails. I haven't heard from this teacher, and I can't say anything about personnel, and I'm not going to. But I want people to understand, just as a general point of interest, that COVID-19 is, no one is immune. So and some of our families are being affected by that too, of our work staff. And so I just ask people to be a little compassionate and think about that maybe they're dealing with a sick family member, or maybe they are sick themselves. And I truly believe that the vast majority of teaching staff and people, they're doing the right thing. They're trying to do what's best for kids to the best of their ability.
So everything that they're doing right now, remote learning, is credit, no credit.
Credit, no credit.
Okay. What happens? What do you do with the grades that have been built up since the beginning of the school year?
So we closed the third term, for example, at the high school where we stopped. And I know at Westfield High School, they allowed another week for students to turn in anything to try to pick the grade up. At the last,
extra credit stuff?
Or to turn in work that you hadn't turned in yet to boost your grade.
All right.
Not a lot of extra credit so much, but stuff to turn the grade. But then the fourth term is going to be credit, no credit. So how that affects GPA and, class rank and all of that, I have no idea. And, we have a call with the commissioner today at 1 o'clock. We don't even know about graduation. And we can talk about that when we get back, because I want to talk about
it's on the list,
like
yeah.
Okay, all right. So I think we're taking a break.
wait. This isn't Thursday. You're not the one who calls for the break.
He's jonesing.
No, but you said 5 minutes ago that you wanted to take a break in 5 minutes.
He's jonesing because he's misses his show. It's been a while since we've done a show.
It's been a while. Most of my guests are kids and students.
Well, there's always Zoom. But anyways.
All right, so I think we nailed on the remote learning. That was.
And some of them
something I was
long-term
really
projects. There are things like that kids can work on using technology. It's very different. But the reason I brought up the Fort Meadow video is, that teacher was working on vocabulary and stuff with the preschool students through songs and things. I mean, there's so many different ways to learn. I think we know that. And I will say this. I think that this experience is going to change education forever.
I agree with you. And I have a point that I wanted to make regarding that.
Yeah.
And that just makes a perfect segue, because it only takes about 30 seconds to cover it. And maybe Kathy can do something about this.
That's right, Kathy.
Yeah.
She didn't chime in on anything I had to say.
I think once all this is done, a book should be written about how it affected the Westfield School District. And then 5-10 years down the road, it be used as a teaching mechanism here in the schools.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Well, another project for me, Ken.
I'm not assigning that to you, but if you want to pick it up, and that means Superintendent Czaporowski doesn't have to find anyone.
It does change it, especially at the elementary level, which of course is where I was. So much of our teaching at the elementary level is done on a very personal basis with the children.
Right.
And this is putting a whole new aspect into presentation. And these elementary teachers are knocking themselves out to get this done. I know that because I'm still friends with a lot of them.
They really are. And I'll say this. I don't think that remote learning will ever replace, or should ever replace, face-to-face instruction. I think that there's a piece to that, the relationship piece that comes along with that is huge. I mean, think about you have all of us have a teacher or a few teachers who have impacted us, into our adulthood. I know for you it's Mr. Beauregard. I know.
Well,
there you go. One way or another.
Impacted one way or another. Yeah.
But my point is the relationships that we build in schools, and a lot of the things with schools is just about how also to interact with other people. You don't learn that online, and that's important. Even through a computer, even if you're doing Zoom, it's just not the same as in-person interaction.
And I did regional student advisory committee. I did student advisory council here in town, and you don't get any of that with remote.
And if given a choice, I would obviously prefer in-person instruction. And I think, again, it's all about that relationship. It's also easier to, why is and how is this relevant? It's easier to do that in person than it is over a screen.
And because we had so much to go over, it's easier right now to go over all this because we've been taking visual clues or cues from each other since you sat down here.
Exactly.
And that helps us to get this information out even more efficiently than what I think it would be if we were Zooming.
If it was agreed.
Yeah. All right, 9:30 on the nose. Pete, break, please.
Got this in pocket. Got paddle. I'm gonna use it. Intention. I'm feeling mental. Gonna make you notice. Got motion. Restrained emotion. I've been diving. Detour leaning. No reason. Just seems so pleasing. Gonna make you notice. Gonna use my arms. Gonna use my legs. Gonna use my style. Gonna use my side step. Gonna use my fingers. Gonna use my imagination. 'Cause I gonna make you see. There's nobody else here. No one like me. I'm special. So special. I gotta have some of your attention. Give it to me. I got rhythm. I can't miss a beat. I got new skank. Sorry. I got something. When can I tell? Gonna make you notice. Gonna use my arms. Gonna use my legs. Gonna use my style. Gonna use my side step. Gonna use my fingers. Gonna use my imagination. 'Cause I gonna make you see. There's nobody else here. No one like me. I'm special. So special. I gotta have some of your attention. Give it to me. 'Cause I gonna make you see. There's nobody else here. No one like me. I'm special. So special. I gotta have some of your attention. Give it to me. And when you walk,
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Listen to me, Michael Buster McMahon, Mondays 8 to 10 a.m. to learn the stories behind your favorite songs. Or don't. I'm not the boss of you.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
9:33 3/4, April 14th, Zombie Apocalypse Day 26.
Stop that.
In the year 2020, Anno Domini, Superintendent of Schools Stefan Czaporowski is in here. Now, we have a whole laundry list of things we still want to hit upon.
I did want to get one point out before I forget it, because I forgot it once already. when it came to the school closure part, I want people to know that the Westfield Public Schools were working hand in hand with the Westfield Health Department, and Joe Rouse has been wonderful for us in giving us guidance. Deb Melvena, I think those two are working hard, ridiculous right now. So I just want to give them a shout out and thank them for their guidance as we navigated through this.
Awesome. We've been talking about, hopefully getting back to normalcy, or, remote teaching isn't the same as being in person. Something that was normal. What was the breakfast and lunch program that we used to have? How have things been working out with that thus far?
So we started almost immediately, and I need to shout out our food service director, Rachel Kania. She's been fantastic with this, and we started out with 2 sites, first at Abner and Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a few hundred we were feeding every day, and then we expanded to Powder Mill. So we do. So I'll get to that. We expanded to Powder Mill Village and Colonial Pine Acres as well, and so we are now up to 750 to 800 a day. And we moved and because of that, we had to move from Abner, which the parking, everything is not great, as you know, to
high traffic corner.
Yeah, it is, to Westfield Middle School, which people have appreciated. But so we do now Westfield Middle School and Franklin Ave from 11 to 1, and then we do Powder Mill and Colonial Pine Acres from 11:30 to 12:30. So people come in, and they pick up not only lunch but breakfast for the next day. So I mean, are they getting hot lunch, so to speak? No, I mean they're getting some sort of sandwich, some sort of something of that nature.
Something that hits the nutritional need.
Fruits, veggies, things of that. Yogurt for breakfast, an occasional cinnamon bun, which maybe isn't the healthiest, but 750 to 800 meals a day. So while all this is happening, we also took that into consideration, and I think we were one of the first districts to start feeding our kids right away. And so
that was within a few days that happened.
Absolutely. And when you think of all that was going on with this, I think that's important. We feed probably about 40% of our kids in Westfield are considered economically disadvantaged. So at Westfield Public Schools, 40%. It's a significant amount. And I don't know if people realize that number is that high.
I didn't realize it was that high.
So
when I start to look at Westfield, I can start to see that if I think about it. But that's nothing you would think of off the top of your head.
And then we partner with the Boys and Girls Club, and they're doing dinners. So, the schools and the Boys Club, how we're able to. There is some federal reimbursement for what we're doing, which is very helpful. Thankfully, but it's the right thing to do, and even if there wasn't, we would do it. It wasn't. We started doing it without the reimbursement. That came later, thankfully, right? I think FEMA, MEMA, they're going to probably throw some money toward it anyway. But the right thing to do is to feed our kids.
No questions asked. If you need the lunch or the breakfast, you go.
Listen, we don't even ask. I don't even ask for an ID.
Yeah,
if
you
a
don't
hungry
have to
person comes to, if this is my house and you're hungry, I'm going to give you all the food I have. It's just how I operate. And
Just to be clear, you don't have to be enrolled in a school lunch program to get a lunch at this point.
No, come get food. I mean, we know times are tough. We know people are out of work. You see the unemployment rate, and that's one of the things that we do is we feed our kids, and we're doing it next week during April vacation, and we may not get reimbursed, and we don't care. We're doing the right thing by kids. You have to. Otherwise, why are you in this business, right?
Yeah. Speaking of April vacation.
Yeah.
Is that now canceled?
Do we want to talk about that one for a minute?
Because I know Connecticut schools forego the April vacation to make up for the week where they didn't have anything going on.
So we are not being held in terms of the state. We have to go to our 185th day. So we had used 3 snow days, so that brought us to the 21st of June. Or actually that Friday. Now we come back that Monday and Tuesday, I think it is. That's what it is. So, listen, I am, I talked to some teachers. I talked to the union leadership. I talked to some school committee members. And a lot of our teachers, and Kathy brought it up earlier, saying that they are working harder than they've ever had to, and it's more than just the hours of the school day as they're preparing things because, you know, and our teachers want to do a good job for our kids. And I haven't mentioned yet is how much our staff miss our kids, and the kids miss us. I mean, if you've seen some of the videos I've been posting on our Facebook page, just there's video messages going back from kids to teachers, teachers to kids. I mean, I don't
even students like me.
Yeah, well, really,
yeah.
I don't think people can fully, or some people don't really comprehend how important it is for our kids to have the routine to come to school, even though they're like, oh, I hated that teacher. They miss the teacher, even the one that they didn't like. They miss all of them.
I get that. Yeah.
You know, and so, but I think it's important to have April break. And again, I sent out an email. I had alluded to it earlier at our school committee meeting, but I sent out an email just reiterating why. And I think, you know, our teachers have been working hard, and I think they've asked for a week to rejuvenate in terms of, you know, planning these online lessons and again, interacting through Zoom. I mean, we have teachers that Zoom with their kids every day.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked for that time. They also have their own families that they're worried about. Some of them have sick family members. They asked for a week to rejuvenate.
Mm-hmm.
So now Monday's a holiday, because I had a parent email me and say, we could have got out 5 days earlier. No, that's really not true, because Monday's Patriots Day, so you wouldn't have been able to do that. It would have been 4 days. But I'm hopeful, Ken, and maybe I'm dreaming. You know, if everything I've been watching, if we hit a peak this week, or, you know, between April 10th and 20th is when they think, and things start going back, I'm hopeful we're actually going to open on June 1st. I think that we can, if we can come back, and I'm not saying we're going to have 100% attendance, I realize that, but our students will benefit greatly, in my opinion, by coming back to school before the school year is over and getting back into that routine, seeing their teachers and wrapping up the year. You know, the last day of school on the elementary level, for example, is often, Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of celebrations, right? And
It is.
Go ahead, Kathy.
To come back on that one-on-one relationship with the adults in their school is so important to the young kids.
It is. And I would rather do that than get out 4 days earlier. I'd rather that. Our kids haven't been in school for a month already. They won't be in school for 2 months. To come back for 3 weeks, to get that face-to-face time, it's going to bring some sense of normalcy back to that.
Finalization to
finality.
the year.
Right. If we end the school year online, that's weird.
Yeah. Now
it's not normal.
Now, you said June 1st.
I just threw that date out.
So it's not yet a matter of fact that everything's going to go back to normal on Cinco de Mayo.
No, I think actually my expectation, and again, I have a call with the commissioner at 1 o'clock, is that there'll probably be an extension to the closure. I hope that we don't close for the rest of the year, because I still want to hold out hope that we can get our kids back into the buildings. Just again, to finish the year on a routine, a sense of normalcy, so that when we come back in the end of August, you know, it flows better. Because otherwise we're going to have a hard time coming back in August. It's going to be more difficult. And I think the opportunity of having 4 days of face-to-face instruction as opposed to 4 days of remote learning, the choice was clear for me. And when I talk, so when I hear the teachers would like some rejuvenation, and when I say that too, by the way, some teachers reached out to me and said, I actually want to use the time to plan, so I can plan for the next few, because, you know, really you're flying by the seat of your pants with this in some cases.
And the past few weeks, there's been a lot of uncertainty,
right?
And that will drain you mentally more than anything else.
I think there's stress, there's anxiety right now. I want to shout out our counselors, who have been reaching out to students that they usually work with, and also doing, like, they used to have lunch groups, Pete, you know what I'm talking about here? We have lunch group meetings, right, with Christine? Yeah, so they're doing those kinds of meetings still, too. So our staff really care about our kids, and, you know, sometimes I get a little emotional thinking about it, reading some of the emails, and just, you know, how much our staff really miss the kids. And so if I can provide 4 days of in-person instruction over remote learning, I would just assume do that. You know what? We're providing, those enrichment activities are still available, and some teachers are providing long-term projects that students can work on. I don't think at this point it's about getting out of school early. We haven't been in school. So if we can have some time face-to-face time with kids, I'm holding out hope, and I'm going to segue into something else I know you're going to ask me about.
Well, I want to. I can tell you're very.
You can go to the top of the hour. Go ahead.
Well,
I was planning on that.
Okay.
Pete.
just
well, I mean,
I can
listen. I have a little experience hosting a show occasionally too. So no, but it's just the graduation piece and the class of 2020, and I can't think of. How disappointed our seniors have to be now, because the proms are pretty much canceled, and the class picnic that they go on, whether they're going to Camp Shepherd or High Meadow or whatever, that's gone. But I'm hopeful that I can have graduation. I mean, Jay was in here. You heard me talking to him about graduation because I want it to happen. Yeah. And I think our kids deserve that. And, someone said, well, let's do it at the end of August. Well, those kids that are going to college are going to be gone if they're open.
Yeah.
Right, Kathy? They're not going to be here.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
I mean, can you imagine being a senior and not having a graduation ceremony? That's like a rite of passage.
Well, I know one thing that you need to do in Massachusetts in order to graduate is pass the MCAS.
All right, I'll get to that.
Okay.
But, Kathy, were you going to say something about graduation?
Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah.
No, well, Stefan, the problem with holding graduations later, you're absolutely correct. Not only are they gone, but, I had children, their mentality is gone.
Right.
When June is over, they're seniors, they're done.
They're done.
They're done.
And I can't see doing a Zoom graduation. That would
overload the system.
It would, but also, and then I'd have to pay for my account. But
yeah, that'd be more than 40 minutes.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
But it's just not the same, and I guess I'm just hopeful that we can provide our kids something. This is not their fault by any means, and I just hope that we can do something for them.
Have you posted your senior picture up on social media yet?
Can't find it. I saw yours, by the way.
What the hell happened, right? Right, Kathy? What the hell happened to me? That's back in the 80s when men got curls. Or
that's
perms.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I saw Joe Langoni's. I don't know if you saw that one, but it was
Nice
hysterical.
mustache.
He had a mustache.
Yeah, he had a stash.
I'll tell you, he didn't look 18. I'm sure he had a lot of friends for various reasons. Yeah, well, that's just the way people operated back in that day. But so back to MCAS. So from day one, I was a proponent. Just scrap it, and I really chirped to Representative Vilas about it, and I said I just don't think it's fair. It's right. There was a representative who shall remain nameless out in the eastern part of the state that was pushing this. We should give the test, in my opinion. And again, not that I'm usually too controversial, but this may be. I don't know if she's in Pearson's pocket. I have no idea why she still wanted to administer the test. It costs the state $30 million a year to administer MCAS. All right, don't administer it. And I'm sure Pearson and Measured Progress are going to be okay without the $30 million, but they'll probably still get paid. It's just the way things happen. I get it. But the reality is, okay, I was
all right.
cynical there.
You deserve to have that one.
Yeah. Well,
you're okay.
But the reality is why would I put my kids through tests? And so this representative, she said, she said something to the effect of, well, the districts can still use the data. No, I can't. We have our own diagnostics.
It'd be incorrect data anyway because you don't have all the credential going into it to begin with.
Let's say we go back in June 1st, okay? And that's when school starts. Do you think I'm going to have 100% attendance for the next 3 weeks? I'll be lucky if I hit 80 at any one of those days. I recognize that. So a significant portion of the students wouldn't take the test, number one. Number two, when our kids come in the end of August, early September, we have our own iReady and different types of diagnostics so we can see where a student is at and if they need interventions. I just felt like MCAS, like after all the stress and anxiety, come back to school, kids, and take MCAS. Really? That doesn't allow us to build relationships with kids or continue those relationships. And all it does is hours upon hours of testing. That's not what I want our kids to come back to school to.
Can I get this to the state?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know. Kathy, you're an educator. Am I wrong on that?
No, you're absolutely correct. And they're not even, their mentality isn't even going to be there with testing.
No.
It takes a lot of just getting ready to the idea of it. I can't see it, Stefan. You're 100% right.
And so they finally canceled, by the way. They did.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But they had to pass a state law to do it. That was the big sticking point. That's why you had to talk to Rep. Vilas.
Yes.
And we right now we don't have any representation in the state Senate. So, yeah, they had to pass a law because it's a state law. It's not a guideline. It's an actual law.
It is. It's the same thing with our Student Opportunity Act plan that was supposed to be due April 1st, and they extended that till May 15th. Now, we had presented that actually before this all started, but we submitted ours on time already because
I knew that fact because I listened to you at the school committee meeting.
Yeah, well, and I don't usually. I try to be ahead of the game when I can be. Obviously, with this COVID, we weren't as much as we could have been, but. Again, unprecedented, never expected to happen. So now what we are looking at is students who haven't passed either ELA, science, or math, MCAS, and the commissioner now has the power to waive that and allow these students to graduate this year. Again, we have a conference call at 1. I hope he offers us some more information because there are no MCAS retakes available to these kids in order to try and pass before June.
Gotcha.
So he has the power to waive for this graduating class. He was granted that by the Board of the Board of Education. And I hope he does it because they don't have an opportunity to retake it. That, again, is not their fault either. And even if they did come up with a retake in June, students who haven't passed typically take coursework in the schools during the day to help them pass the MCAS. And, sometimes it may not even be content. It may be test-taking strategies, things the way, test-taking is actually a skill, by the way, that some people can do things great orally and everything else, but you put them either in front of a computer on a piece of paper and they can't get it out there, but they can get it out orally, right? So we have to teach that. And they don't have that opportunity. So to me, it would be unfair to hold those students to that MCAS requirement at this time. I don't know. I just think it would be
just
unfair.
For this year. I mean, it's a quite unique circumstance and perfect storm of things that are kind of working against them.
Yeah.
And it's okay to give them a mulligan for this time around.
I think it is. In all of this, and what I try to keep in my beacon, and the question I always ask myself is, are we doing what's best for the students? That's my, is this good for kids? Let's do it.
Yeah.
And I don't think MCAS or holding them accountable for a test they can't take to try to pass is good for kids.
It's sounding to me like the Westfield School District is in good hands here.
I've known that since almost day one with my experience with him as a principal.
Yeah.
It's about the kids. That's why we're here. And
you've always, when it comes down ultimately to it being about the kids, that's when you really, when you're in front of the camera or behind the microphone there, that's when you really start to show some passion. I see it every single time.
It is, you maybe at some budget hearings every now and then I get a little pumped up because again, every cut you make, some counselors will say, "Oh, it's not going to affect the kids." Of course, it affects the kids. Anytime you cut the schools, there's going to be effects on students, and I try to minimize that all the time. But at the and I've listen, in 4 years I've cut a lot of fat, so to speak. I know this is going to be a particularly difficult budget season with the economy and everything else, and we presented our budget the other week.
Yeah, you've put something in now.
We did. So we and it's asking for a $682,000 increase from the city, which is about the amount of money we gave back last year to the city in Chapter 70 money. And the governor's number that he says would come to Westfield is $519,000. So we're asking for about $1.2 million increase total, but $519,000 of that is from the state. Now I realize that number could change. I also realize that the city, in terms of tax revenue, I know that restaurant, hotels, all those things are being affected, and I'm also a team player in terms of what I know what we need to do. But cuts that I make further are going to affect kids, and that is a reality. I hate it, but it is the reality we live in, and I know that I will make every cut I can before it affects them, and have already. I had to cut $1.1 million to get where we were with what we presented the other week, which is steep.
Yeah, then you start to think of, okay, who suffers first? You know, when I cut this or when I cut that.
Well, some of it is through some of the staff. I mean, our numbers are down a little bit, so some of it is happening through attrition, not replacing people that are retiring.
Okay. All right.
I've cut some central office staff because the schools shouldn't be the only people who take the hit.
Right.
And I think, I try to keep the cuts away from the kids, but I know we're going to have to go deeper. And
larger classroom,
larger class sizes. There may not be when we did the transition. And again, I'm not cutting this, so I don't want anyone to not yet, but it may have to happen, folks. Okay, depending on what happens with the numbers in the next few weeks, because we still don't have the house number yet. Usually by now we do.
Right.
So, when we pulled the 5th grade out of the elementary schools, we used to only have band in 5th grade, but we added band to 4th grade so that there was still a band presence in the elementary schools. So we actually expanded it when we did the transition. That may be one of the things that takes a hit. For example, it's those kinds of things, those opportunities for students that I like to give, and class size is going to go up. I mean, that would be another reality. But I'm thinking outside the box is always. I've got my head spins constantly about things that we can work on and people we can work with to try to make this as least painful to students as possible.
Trying to keep things at least painful. We mentioned graduation and MCAS. What about yearbooks? Well, your yearbooks can still happen. All right, that's not going to be an issue, really.
Right.
Putting it together, maybe.
Well,
but those can be put together after the fact, because I remember I was in this building after I graduated probably 5 or 6 times working on the yearbook. I had to come back.
Well, they make them here again right now. They are making them out of the graphic shop now. So if we get back to school, and I think a lot of the work had already been done, but they can work on that over. Yeah.
So there's still going to be a yearbook.
There will be a yearbook.
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be some sort of reference, the COVID-19 year or something. You know,
that's something that Mrs. Grimsley could assign to students while they're home. That could be one of the assignments that they could work on as a pass-fail thing. Hey, you this is your page.
Your page.
Here's your format. You fill it in.
And not just a Tech Academy yearbook, but middle school yearbook. Does intermediate do a yearbook?
And I think they do that in-house. Yeah, they did one last year. It was in-house.
Yeah, so
the high school, I think they use a company. But the way the companies work, too, if you're working with either like Jostens or some of the other companies that are out there, they typically, your deadlines are way before March. And so I've seen a lot of places, too, like they'll do a... like your senior week when you get graduation, prom, etc., is called a senior supplement that you get inside the yearbook because it's separate. Because they have to print the hardcover book before that.
Right, they're produced already.
Right, you just do a supplement that you put inside.
I was blessed. I didn't have that deadline when I was here.
Right. Now, again, when you work with those companies, they're pretty harsh. Life Touch is another company. Their deadlines are usually in March. So I think if we met our deadlines, we're still going to be okay. But we're still going to make it happen. And, I have had school committee members, I've had families ask me, whatever we can possibly do to help these seniors have an experience, I want to try to do it.
Well, and you can also, the other thing, too, is nowadays you could do a virtual. And have a PDF yearbook if you really want, if you missed a deadline or something like that.
Absolutely. I thought you were going to say virtual graduation. I'm still not a fan of that.
No. Like a PDF published for the first time ever, make it truly digital and publish a PDF yearbook.
It still doesn't give you a true keepsake, though.
Yeah, but you could send, if you really wanted a hardcover, you could send it into a company like Shutterbug, and they could actually make the hardcover book for you.
It's still a tradition, and you probably did it when you were a kid, and I think, Pete, you probably did too, is having your friends and teachers sign your yearbook. I mean, that's a little...
I didn't want any signatures of mine because I didn't want it to be cluttered up.
Oh, okay.
See, I have some in mine. When I do. When I did my class
Beauregard didn't sign your yearbook for you?
Nobody signed my yearbook.
I think, it's like I remember being a principal here, and kids would always ask me to sign their yearbook, and I love doing it, and usually try to personalize a little something that I remembered about them. But like so much, again, I just think the class of 2020 is unfortunate. I was going to say something else, but
I know what you were going to say.
Yeah, they're getting
because we talk outside of the microphone.
Yes, exactly.
It's called the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. But
speaking of short end of the stick,
I classed it up.
Speaking of short end of the stick, really quick because I have to go.
Yep.
Been missing Tiger's Pride.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You?
Yes. The mice are getting the better of it right now.
Oh, that's not good.
Mooch has been in here with the traps.
Yeah, it's been I think this is the longest it's been during the school year where I haven't smelt anything coming to the wall here, you know?
Oh. No, and I think, our kids miss school, our teachers miss school. I just want to reiterate to folks, our teachers aren't sitting at home on vacation. That's not what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of great learning going on. Is there some areas where we can do a little bit better? There always will be. But I think by and large, we put our heart and soul into this profession. That's why we get into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our teachers are doing the right thing. And Kathy, I know you're talking to some of the elementary principals, and you said it earlier, they're working harder than they've ever had to work.
Yeah. They are, because it's a whole new set of learning that honestly no one was prepared for.
Right.
I mean, we didn't get this in college, so
No.
it's difficult. And they are working hard. Trust me, they are.
And I feel like all of them are trying and want to do what's best for kids. And I can't ask for any more than that as a superintendent.
And Superintendent Zapp, I think that is probably the perfect way to go out here.
Agreed.
On top of that, I'm up against the clock.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you for coming in here.
My pleasure.
Superintendent Stefan Czaporowski.
Be well. Stay healthy, everybody.
All right. That's it.